Monument and Palmer Lake. These are two areas around Colorado Springs that are typically left out of market reports, so that's why I'm doing one for you. Hi, everybody. My name is Chris Wojciechowski. I'm a realtor and the owner of homesin719.com based in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I'm going to do a report for you today about the Monument and Palmer Lake area housing market. And I'm going to go over some stats so you can see that. And, you know, it's not just my theory. It's not just what I think might be going on. It is actually what's going on. And the report that you're going to see is as of last week. So it's not some of the stuff you see in the news where it's, you know, from way back when, you know, it's 30, 60, 90 days ago. No, this is of last week. So it's much more up to date and gives you much better insight as to what's going on right now in that market. And, you know, if this isn't the market that you want to get information on, reach out to me. I can do more of these videos. I do one for Colorado Springs so far, and I've done one for Colorado Springs condos and townhomes. And this is the one for Monument and Palmer Lake because it is different. And that's why I thought I would do that. I'm going to do some more with some of the other areas around Colorado Springs too, just trying to knock them out one at a time here and get them out there for you guys to look at. This will be a short video. I think it's, you know, normally around 8 minutes. So we'll see what I can do. All right, I want to keep you around forever. All right, so let me share my screen here and we'll walk you through two different charts. All right, everybody. So we're going to go through two different charts here. This one is on Monument. After this one's done, I want to do in this video the one on Palmer Lake zip code. So this is zip code specific. This data we're looking at 80132, which is Monument, and I believe it's 80133 is the Palmer Lake, which is just to the west. All right, so what you're looking at here, we have a market action index around 30, what's it say, 35 last month. I think it was a little bit higher. You can see this lower bar here, and I think it's like 36 or something. And what that is just a taking all the data that I'm gonna go over here on the right, and it's taking all that together, and it's trying to approximate based on those conditions if it's a buyer or seller's market. Back in COVID land, we were pushing 100 in most zip codes. I don't know if we were pushing it in Monument, but let's just say safe to say it was probably above 80. All right, so it's come down quite a bit. And what that means for you as a seller or a buyer is that there's a lot more negotiation going on. Neither the buyer or the seller has an upper hand. And I would say in some cases, the buyer has the upper hand right now because the sellers really want to buy, or the days in inventory are going up, days in market are going up. So if they get a buyer that's at least interested enough to submit an offer, the seller should be cooperating to keep that buyer on the hook. All right. So over here on the right, we got the median list price is down to $769 from $876. So that looks like a colossal drop. That's $100,000 drop since August, right? And I want to caution you a little bit with going, oh my God, my house lost all this value. It may or may not have. So back in COVID land, it was very common for people to pay 10 to 15% over list price to purchase a house. How does that affect this? Well, the numbers that this thing uses to determine the median list price, you know, is based on, to some degree, the price somebody bought something for above list price. It doesn't actually go in there based on the appraised value. So it does twist some of the numbers a little bit. But, you know, we're looking at list price here. So this is cheaper houses are on the market, right? Is another way to look at this. Median list price. So this is the list price of a current listing that would have been, the comps would have been based on that inflated number. I hope you see how I connected those two. So the solds that the agent used to list the house were inflated because the buyer overpaid for them back 2 or 3 years ago, right? So what we're seeing right now is that icing coming off the cake, and these prices look like they're dropping a lot when really they're just coming back to what the appraised value was. So don't panic too much. Yep, you know, some people got a lot of money back in COVID land selling a house. You didn't. So and if you're a buyer, you don't have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for that icing. But you know, it is kind of masked a little bit because of how much people were overpaying for properties. Then we have the median price of new listings. I like to say that this is the gas pedal and this is the speed of the market. The more this changes, typically the more this changes. So we're down to 777. This is 899. This fell, so that fell with it. This is more of a leading indicator even. This is a slightly lagging indicator, but that's kind of how to look at that is, now we're kind of coming back up. So we were down to 649. Now we're back up to 770. So that's a big jump, right? That's a huge jump right there in that little ticker right there. And why is that? Well, Monument and Palmer Lake have little inventory, right? 92. They don't have a lot of inventory. So as these things come on the market, come on and off the market, man, this line just kind of jumps all over the place for you. So you do kind of normalize it. Take a little bit with a grain of salt. Use a professional to help you understand what the value is of things. Price per square foot is really bad. I don't try to use that for anything. It will mislead you a lot, especially in a market where you have a lot of very unique homes like Palmer Lake and Monument, and it's hard to comp them in there. And if you use this, price per square foot, it can really get you off in the weeds. Average days on market 116, median days on market 84. So the median day on market is the one you want to watch. This is the one you see on the news too. Why is that? Because the average days on market has content in there where these are outlier houses. They're way out in the middle of nowhere. Maybe really expensive. You get that one at 6 million, and yes, there's houses in the area at 6 million, or really low, right? So the median kind of drops those outliers off and says, really, if you put a pin on the center of the market of what's actually going on, the median days on market is 84. So what does it mean? It takes 84 days from the time you put your house in the market for it to go under contract. It also typically is a good indicator of when you might be thinking about doing a price drop, if you do it right. If you're a buyer, this might be the point where you really start getting aggressive with your offers, because these houses have been sitting on the market for the median days on market. That's a good kind of approximation. But if you're putting your house on the market, you definitely want to get ahead of this. You don't want to ride this thing down, right? I'm going to show you some stuff here in a minute further down on this page, but you want to price it below the competition, not at it. You want to beat them. You want to sell yours because the market is going down, right? So yes, you might look at the competition out there and you're going to put yours on the market for $10,000 or $15,000 less than theirs, right? And you're like, Chris, I don't want to lose that money. It's 15 grand. It's a lot of money. I understand that. But what happens here is you put your house on the market at 10 to 15 grand below the competition. Yours sells, theirs don't. They have to do more price drops in order to get somebody to buy theirs. So you want to kind of want to undercut the market. And if you really need to sell it fast, you want to drop the price a lot, more than 10 to 15 grand, to get it sold quickly and off the market. So those are a couple of tricks to look for or to consider for your situation, right? Price decreases. 58% of the houses that are listed for sale take a price decrease before they sell. Normal is about 33%. It takes a price decrease, so we're well above that. But again, these price decreases, that's the icing coming off. This is the overages that people are no longer willing to pay for. Price decrease 8%. Normal is 10% in a normal market. Relisted 7% of the properties that get listed for sale do not sell and have to be relisted, right? And that's normally because they get the price wrong based on what the situation that's going on, or they're being too rigid on the terms and conditions to sell the property. And hopefully their agents, are trying to advise them on that. If you want to sell the property, you got to be willing to play ball. And the ball isn't, the rules aren't dictated by the agents. They're dictated by the buyer and the seller. And all we can do is try to advise you and say, if you really want to sell it, or you really want to buy it, these are the kinds of terms and conditions you need to put in there, be willing to manipulate and adjust for, because if you get too rigid, you don't sell it and then you relist it. Inventory 92. So back in August, it was at 105. Median rent, I don't know, it's in this report, so I'm just mentioning it, right? It's down to 2,600. Rents are falling. Where they get this data, I don't know for sure where they get it. The data provider I'm talking about that gives me these cool reports. Market action index, again, back in August was at 37. So Palmer Monument, in this case, has been kind of like just hovering through there. pretty static. And then I'm going to change this report to inventory. I'm going to switch off the average days on market here, just to kind of smooth out the line and take out some of the noise. All right, so right now we are right around, it's average 90-day average days, 90-day average is around 100. And you can kind of see back in 2018, you weren't too far off, right? These little diamonds that you see are the same date within the year, right? So this is December 9th, this is December 10th, and you kind of see it kind of goes back to there, right? So you kind of get a feeling, you know, back in 2018 where it was, right? 107. So it's not that different. Back here is where the buyers were having to give $10,000 to $15,000, 10 to 15% over list price to buy a house. And the sellers are making out like a bandit in these ones. But now we're kind of coming back up, and almost, you know, I can't go back further to look at this in this particular platform, but you know, you can see back to 2018 prior to COVID, that's about where you guys were. So the market is not terrible. Interest rates as of this moment are at 6.5% on average. So, you know, that's not terrible. At 5.5%, I guarantee you, most of the buyers are going to come back on the market because that's when they all left. You can see it in some of the other data that we have. At 5.5% interest rates, the buyers left. So I feel very confident that at 5.5%, they're coming back. So, you know, at 6.5%, that's pretty good. Right now, the buyers aren't in the market, allows you to negotiate. When the buyers start coming back into the market, you're going to pay more, you're going to get less. You're going to have a lot more competition. So right now might not be a bad time to buy if you can afford that 6.5% interest rate, which I get is not nice at all. There are some techniques I'll mention in here. If you're a veteran, you can do some VA assumptions and take over somebody's loan that's at 2 or 3%. That is a true thing you can do. You can also take over FHA and conventional, but conventionals are a lot harder to do, but it is possible to do them. So with that, let's switch over to Palmer Lake. So with Palmer Lake, I'm going to go through this maybe a little bit faster just to, you know, not keep you here forever, and you're a little bit more familiar with the report. So again, market action index is currently at 41. Last month it was a little bit higher, probably around 46 or so, if I had to guess. Median list price back in August was 745, down to 525. But again, look at our inventory. This chart is going to, there's so little inventory that I'm surprised we actually have data that they're showing us here. Okay, so the Palmer Lake zip code is going to have a lot of volatility in it. It's going to be going up and down all over the place. And like I mentioned before, some of the icing is coming off the cake, and we're seeing these big, you know, gigantic price drops. But it's very dependent what house you have, where it's at. Median days on market, new listings, right? It's actually up from August, right? So this is going up. So this should start turning pretty soon, I would think. We're going to start seeing this push back, but right. I mean, well, it's right there, 525 to 525. So next, average days on market is 98, median days on market 63. So you can, you know, get an idea what that means for you guys based on what I told you earlier. Price decreases 40%. Again, normal's 30. We're heading back towards that, so that's good. Price increases 0. Relisted 20%. So this is way over what the norm of 10%. I will say that I've got a lot of buyers looking in Monument Palmer Lake in the, let's say I've got 500,000 to around 3 million, I think, in my system. I've got several. That's why I'm doing this video. I have several that are looking out there for that. If you're thinking about selling out there, get the price right. Have a nice house and you'll sell it. You know, you're gonna have to make sure it's taken care of. My buyers that are out there want a nice condition home, right? That's what they're typically looking for. Not one that's all has a lot of deferred maintenance. If you have deferred maintenance, you can still sell it. You just got to drop the price, and that's why we're getting 20% of the market up there has to relist because they're asking too much money for these houses. Don't be one of those people. Market action index is down to 41, up from 50 or down from 54. So you can see where it kind of was back in August. And again, just like I did in the other one, the inventory here, let me turn off the 7-day average again, take out some of that so you can see it. But you can see kind of it's not smooth. This line is not smooth. It's jumping all over the place, right? It's like digital. And that's because of the inventory levels are so low, right? This is 14. That's the top of the market. So, you know, it's going to have a lot of volatility, and then you can see now we're at 7. And if you drive it straight across again, it's pretty much where we were in 2008, nothing crazy. You can see COVID land down here is 1. You know, they go off the market so fast. So again, if you're buying or selling in Palmer Lake, now's probably a pretty good time to do it if you can afford the interest rates, you know, and hope to refi later. You know, I say hope because you can't always refi. So you better be able to cover that mortgage at 6.5 until you can refi, right? But with that, you know, there's some information about Palmer Lake and Monument. I hope you found that video useful. You know, if you want some information on any zip code anywhere in the country, I can do another report for you for it like that specifically for you. Just reach out to me at homes719.com, and I'll be happy to crank out a video for you for a specific zip code. If you have an investment property you want to sell somewhere or whatever, reach out. Let's talk. I think I'm a good dude, and I don't mind talking to people. If I can help you out, I will. If I can point you in a better direction, I will do that as well. Again, my name is Chris. I'm with homes719.com. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.